It's about the creation of propaganda and women who are stepping into their power. Ruth Ozeki is an American-Canadian born in 1956. She is the winner of the Women's Prize with the Book of Form and Emptiness, and she's also a Zen Buddhist priest, which rocks. This was fucking awesome. Scott has been telling me to read this since he read it, I reckon 2 years ago. I have been my usual belligerent self and completely ignored him, and he was right about this one. I am glad that I waited because I used to be a carnivore and only just became a vegetarian in sort of Christmas last year. I think this would have hurried that journey, and I have enough food issues. I don't really need to be pushed before I'm ready. So if you are worried about if you're conflicted about meat eating, maybe not. There's definitely at least one scene in here that I found like super confronting, and like in a visually imaginative way I found it difficult. It upset me quite a lot. So there's that element. I just want to read you a quote. Information about toxicity in food is widely available, but people don't want to hear it. Once in a while, a story is spectacular enough to break through and attract media attention, but the swell quickly subsides into the general glut of bad news over which we as citizens have so little control. Coming at us like this in waves, massed and unbreachable, knowledge becomes symbolic of our disempowerment, becomes bad knowledge. So we deny it, riding its crest until it subsides from a consciousness. I've heard myself protesting, I didn't know, but this isn't true. Of course I knew about toxicity in meat, the unwholesomeness of large-scale factory farming, the deforestation of rainforests to make grazing land for hamburgers. Not a lot, perhaps, but I knew a little. I knew enough. But I needed a job, so when my American wife was offered to me, I chose to ignore what I knew. Ignorance. In this root sense, ignorance is an act of will, a choice that one makes over and over again, especially when information overwhelms and knowledge becomes synonymous with impotence. I think that's really the core. The women in this book, and it is, the narrative is from the perspective of several women, mainly the producer of a docuseries, Jane. She's making a docuseries called My American Wife for a Japanese audience, and the wife of the man who has commissioned that docuseries, Aikido, what's her name? Akiko. Both of these women, in a sense, have the knowledge that they need to step into their power and be who they want to be, and live their better life. But they're both overwhelmed by the action and the break with convention that would be required to take such a step. And so they retreat into this pretense of ignorance. And I think the whole book centers around what we do in denial, particularly as women when we feel disempowered, and what it takes to push us beyond that into a state that is much less comfortable, much more confronting, and how we can break the mold and change the cycles. This is an inherently feminist book. It also discusses the meat industry and the capitalist nature of that, and the impact that has. And there are some very factual, although at this stage outdated, but very factual discussions of the impact and the the true cost of the meat industry. That's not the center of this book, though. The center of this book is definitely the women who are telling their stories, and the women whose stories are told through the docu-series, and it's an examination of mostly heterosexual romantic relationships involving women and the power dynamics involved in those, but also relationships between women and friendships, and even lesbian romance and the difference between those power dynamics, and this central theme of denial. I found everything about this book interesting. I really enjoyed the structure. I found the way that she dug into her subject matter, and the quote that I read you was from quite near the end, and it felt like a revelatory moment for me. I felt like we had been mired in this denial, and as the characters started to emerge from their own difficulties and started to really examine the cognitive dissonance that they had maintained up until that point in the narrative, then that's when she started talking about denial and willful ignorance in relation to meat, and brought those two sort of strings together, and it was an illuminating moment in the text for me. I loved the characters. They were all beautifully ugly and imperfect and correct. The best... Oh, I have so many favorite... I don't have a favorite character. They're all freaking fantastic. I really enjoyed that most of the women in this book at some point stepped into their power or chose their own path in a confrontational way, not necessarily confronting the men in their lives or breaking out of their existing path, but even when they chose to carry on and maintain the status quo, you saw them choose, and you saw them stop allowing their lives to happen around them and make a decision. And that was excellent to see over and over and over again, because you do meet so many women in this book, and so many of them are having their own battle with something in their life that is not as they would want it to be. I really like to read Ruth Ozeki's A Book of Formative Emptiness at some point in the near future. I would love to hear from anyone who has read My Year of Meat. What did it do? Did it change the way you eat? Did it change the way you interact with food? Our household is very aware of food and its footprint, and so this was not necessarily new thoughts for me. So I'd be really interested to hear from anyone who hadn't considered where their food comes from, maybe. And also, what did you think of Akiko? What did you think of Jane? What did you think of the risks they both took, and the just tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Tell me all your thoughts. I'd love to continue this conversation in the comments. But please like this video and subscribe to my channel, because there's much more coming. I can't wait to talk to you about the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.